The rematch was signed prior to the first fight. They were both signed at the same time. There is no other contract. That's the contract. We had to let him know the time and date and venue, which we've done. That's it. They're contractually bound for the rematch. And they had some questions which they sent last night. There's no conversations between the two teams about not doing the fight. They just read some of the comments on social media, which some are ridiculous about the fight and the venue, and just want to know some.
Podcast is intended for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed are those of the panelists and do not reflect in any way those of the podcast partners, sponsors, or affiliates. Enjoy.
Sky's the limit, baby.
BoxingVoice.com.
We don't fight for rings and stuff like that. I don't fear anyone.
En este deporte no se viene a jugar y no le tengo miedo a nadie.
You don't come to play in this sport. I fear no one in this sport.
Does that mean that you will fight Triple G later this year?
Como lo dije en la pelea pasada, ahorita mismo me vuelvo a poner los guantes.
As I said in the last fight, right now I'll put on the gloves again.
¡Viva México!
Canelo wants to unify all the titles.
When did you realize, Andy, that you could take his power?
Because of the Mexican warrior that I am, I got that Mexican blood in me, so talking about the Mexican style, I just proved it.
BoxingVoice.com.
Ain't no other sight in the game to see the Boxing Voice.
Good morning, TBV, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another morning edition of the Boxing Voice Radio. Thank God it's Friday. We're back with another one. Man, I'm waking up to loving this new AJ. Every day I wake up, I got an AJ coming out talking greasy. I'm talking greasy, right? Like, I mean, this time he says that he's insisting that Andy Ruiz is a good fighter, but he ain't that skillful. And I quote, he ain't that skillful. And he says that he beat him by a lucky punch sent by the gods. So, you know, very interesting. I'm assuming this dude's got to psych himself up. And that's cool, man. Say what you got to say. Do what you got to do to get those belts back. But we do want to report that Andy Ruiz finally came out and made some forward progress, at least for his fight fans. He took to his Twitter and said that, let me just pull this up, because even Eddie Hearns tweeted this, or retweeted it rather. And I will go ahead and screen share this. Good morning all. Let me see here. My co-host still not around, so we'll get rid of that. And yeah, so let's see. We got some Twitter feed we need to show you. And here we go. Let's see, bring it down. Where are we? All right, so he says, to my fans and supporters, I'm looking forward to hashtag Ruiz Joshua 2. My team and Eddie continue talking and working on the details to make this happen. Now he puts a glove emoji, Mexican flag emoji, American flag emoji, Britain flag emoji, right? So like, I don't know. What does that mean? Is there something in those emojis? Is he saying those are the only countries he's willing to negotiate about? Or is he just putting the Mexican emoji because he's Mexican and, you know, obviously AJ being from the UK, or he's Mexican-American, that's why he's got both. I don't know. I'm just trying to read into it and see what it is that we got. But we're not here to talk about whether Andy and Ruiz are, you know, really fighting in Saudi Arabia. We've beat that dead horse all week, right? What we are here to discuss is AJ's train of thought. The fact that he feels that this was a fluke, that this was a lucky punch. He feels it was a lucky punch. Really quick, I just want to remind you, in 7 minutes, we will be having the IBO president on the line, Ed Levine, and we're going to get that story and just talk to him about his computerized rankings and how, you know, he feels that those are better than the others. Just questions in general. We'll take some of the questions from you guys in the chat, obviously, and yeah, but I mean, with AJ coming out basically saying this was a fluke and it was a lucky punch, and, you know, he, regarding the rematch, he even added, and I quote, I know I can get it back. I laugh at everyone who says I should retire. Maybe I might retire them. So who told him to retire? I wonder, just to put that short list together. Was it Wilder? Was it Fury? Who exactly said he should retire? And you know, we'll put that short list together and kind of see who he's talking about, who he's looking at next in terms of a fight possibly, right? But I don't know. I don't know that this sits well with me. Look, if you are in the UK, you need to be watching that Sky Sports on demand, Untold Truth with AJ, because this is where all these juicy quotes are coming from. So definitely, if you got Sky Sports, check that out, because, you know, I mean, look, he's coming out his shell for sure. You know, I don't know. I really wish my co-host was here to see, is this him psyching himself up, trying to, you know, tell himself he can do it? Because I look at it like this. Ruiz took his best punch. You know, AJ didn't take Ruiz's best punch. He got hurt. You know, Ruiz took his best punch. So I don't know. I really don't know. What could AJ do differently? But I get him too. He says, you know, I guess he's calling the punch where he keeps saying behind the head, which was really the side of the head, but he keeps saying it's the behind the head punch. Maybe he's calling that a lucky shot. Maybe he feels, yo, if he don't hit me there, I don't lose my equilibrium and everything is a go, right? So, you know, possibility. Maybe that's how he's looking at it. Really, only can guess, but kind of late in the game to be coming out saying it's a lucky punch. You know, after giving Ruiz so much respect, I wonder if this is just him, you know, kind of counteracting everything that Ruiz has been saying. You know, Ruiz got robot emojis every time he talks about AJ. Maybe he's saying, all right, Ruiz isn't respecting me anymore. Maybe I need to stop respecting this guy. Maybe I need to, again, psych myself up the best that I can. But if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. We got 4 minutes till our first interview. We're still waiting on Mike. But, you know, hit that thumbs up button. It helps with the visibility of the show. Lets us know that you guys are interested and that you want us to be here multiple times a day, as we have been trying. So yeah, man, what are your thoughts, man? I'm going to go through the comments in, you know, the comment section, live chat, obviously, because I'm interested to see what you guys think about whether or not this was a lucky punch. Let's see. These guys usually in the chat fighting with each other, so let me see. No. Yep, they're fighting with each other. Okay. No, just a lot of name calling. Is anybody interested in what AJ said, or do we not believe him at this point? Man, where's the comments at? Jemmy Border was, yes, TBV, 2 shows. Absolutely, man. We working. I wanted to make sure we got that Kovalev announcement out there, man, for anybody looking to view that fight. But what do we got? Yes, Jemmy's laughing at the fact that he called it a lucky punch. Yes, Rue, this is the AJ that we want. You're right, man. I mean, I want him coming out. Listen, I can't believe that there's so many people upset. I seen an interview with Spencer Fearon who was mad at the comments that you know, that Anthony Joshua made towards Lennox Lewis. But I'm asking myself, like, how could you be mad at those comments when Lennox Lewis has been consistently coming at AJ in the media or on his social media, which is still, you know, media, for ages. But I watched that interview with Spence, and I got him on the line. Spence, man, what's going on? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, brother. Please, I ask anyone who's on there to refrain from any foul language, because I've got my children in the car.
No problem. It's just you and I this morning, but thank you. Yeah, so I watched your interview on IFL where you FaceTime Lennox, and, you know, you got his thoughts, and I also heard your thoughts. And you know what? You brought up a great point, something that I didn't even know. Obviously, you know, little details like that get lost in a boxing fan's mind in terms of Lennox Lewis being one of the pallbearers for Muhammad Ali. Very good logic in saying, you know, would they allow a clown to carry the casket of, you know, such an iconic member of the sport? So you defended Lennox well, but at the same time, I feel like you're overlooking, the sport that we in. This is boxing. Like, AJ is supposed to talk like this. He's supposed to, like, just because you're a legend, you get to say whatever you want about the up and coming people.
No. I'm not. Listen, number one is this. Like I said before on the interview, I actually love Andy Joshua. And I regard him a friend and a dear friend. There is a big difference here, right? So, but I'm saying Lennox Lewis is giving an opinion because you are there to be critiqued right now because Lennox Lewis is a critic, right? So, as Lennox Lewis is a critic on certain things, but like I said, there's history between these two. It's not like Lennox Lewis just woke up.
Since there's history between you and I got to interrupt you and tell you I got my scheduled interview, the president of the IBO. You can stick around. I get back to you. I'll call you, text you.
No, get back to me. The IBO, that's very important.
All right.
I mean, go do that, then holler me back, yeah?
Thank you. We got Ed Levine, the president of the IBO, on the line. I'm going to go ahead and connect them, and we also have our co-host, Michael Gross. Ed, good morning. How are you? First and foremost, thank you for taking out the time to come on the program this morning and talk a little bit of boxing with us and just educate us a little more on the IBO altogether as a whole.
Well, first of all, good morning. It's a pleasure to be on your show. I've heard a lot about it, and I'm enjoying listening to it this morning as well. Very interesting. The IBO has been my project for about 20 years now. I started as the president in 1999. It's been a wonderful journey, a very difficult journey, trying to build something within the framework of the existing boxing establishments. It's not been easy. We're trying to bring something different to the table, and little by little, that effort is being rewarded with great champions and respect that we've always wanted to attain.
How's it going, Mr. Levine? Michael Gross here.
Hey, Michael.
Good morning to you, and thanks for coming on. I want to know, how does the IBO decide what fights they want to put their belts along with? Because for example, the WBA and the IBF was unified with Klitschko and Joshua, and we've seen the IBO added. I want to know what goes in the process and the thinking of putting those belts with certain fights.
Very good question, Michael. What happens in boxing today? Most boxing people are aware that there's what is called the Big Four. The Big Four have agreements amongst themselves as far as rotation of mandatories, voluntaries. They will only call fights unifications amongst those four sanctioning bodies. So really, when for the IBO to be involved, it's really a decision of the particular fighter, his management, his promoter, as to whether they want the IBO title, whether they want their fighter to fight for the IBO title. So when you have a situation, you were just talking about Joshua, for example. Anthony Joshua, it was his decision, his management, to fight for the IBO title. Now, the fact that at that time he held other titles as well, the other sanctioning bodies did not have to agree to that. That was a decision by the management. And that's the way someone like an Anthony Joshua or a Lennox Lewis or Triple G get to hold the IBO title as well as the other titles. A decision made by their management.
So, Ed, do they reach out to you? So, did Eddie Hearn or someone from Matchroom reach out? And do they pay sanctioning fees like the rest of the sanctioning bodies charge? Or do you, at this time, need the champion to kind of endorse the belt so you put it on the line for recognition?
This question is great because it indicates two things to me as the president of the IBO. One is that many people, yourself included, can make the assumption or even the question as to whether we're doing this, basically for nothing to get attention, when in fact, for the last 20 years, many of these great fighters have come to us for very good reasons, and and the IBO has the same kind of sanctioning fee structure as the other sanctioning bodies do. We are paid very well in sanctioning fees for our title. The fighters don't do this because it's given to them. The fighters don't fight for the IBO title just because it's another belt, another piece of bling. They do it for other very important reasons. Ask yourself why. I want to answer these questions, but I'm going to ask the question first. Ask yourself why a Lennox Lewis held our title for 4 or 5 years, let's say. Ask yourself why Vladimir Klitschko held our title for almost a decade. Ask yourself why Triple G has defended the IBO middleweight title 18 times. He didn't do this because he wanted a belt. He did this for some very important reasons. One of the reasons is the IBO does not have the same kind of mandatory structures as the other 4 sanctioning bodies. So a great fighter can be sure that if he loses his other titles because of mandatories that make no business sense, or because a fight is imposed upon them that they don't want to fight, they know that they will always have the IBO world title around their waist. Number 2, another reason. When you have, let's say, just 1 other title or 2 other titles, and you also hold the IBO title, besides the insurance policy that I just explained to you, that it gives them the insurance that they'll still have a world title, it also gives them a negotiation stance. It allows them to negotiate their next fight as far as, well, if I don't fight this particular fighter, forget that for a second. As far as mandatories, they don't have to necessarily fight a financially impossible mandatory, but also gives them a negotiation stance with the other sanctioning bodies. I have the IBO world title. If you take my title away from me, I still have the IBO world title. And they respect and cherish the IBO title. I can give you fighter after fighter who've held the IBO world title, and they're not stupid. They don't pay sanctioning fees for no reason. And that's why one of the reasons we continue to be successful. We're number 5. We realize that, but there's a need for number 5, particularly now in boxing.
Mr. Levine, now we have like the WBA Gold, WBA Regular, WBC Diamond, WBC Franchise. Has there been any talks of making another IBO belt, sort of like these other sanction bodies have done?
Is this Michael that's talking now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, Michael, I have to laugh. Excuse me.
I'm glad you did. Me too. I'm glad you did.
I'm asked this every day. This proliferation of titles is just so upsetting. I mean, where do we go from here? Super, regular, interim, gold, silver, diamond, franchise. What's next? Copper, aluminum, intergalactic title. Now, from my standpoint, from my business standpoint, it bothers me for a lot of reasons. The first reason is, if you have any product, whatever the product, in this case we're talking about boxing, but if you have any product and you flood the market with that product, it diminishes the value of that product. You can put in anything you want in that blank space as to what that product is. When I started in 2000 with the IBO, each sanctioning body had one world title. That was the product. The sport of boxing was already upset in 2000 that the IBO would then come onto the scene for a 5th world title. Now, I understood that. I didn't disagree with that. I completely understood that too many titles is a bad thing. But I nevertheless started in the business for other reasons, which we can get into if you want to. But now, well, going back to that era, we were not mentioned when there was anything, an IBO fight. Very few boxing writers would mention the IBO. Very few telecasters would mention the IBO. Many boxing writers would come right out and say, well, we don't want to recognize the IBO because we already have 4 titles in each weight division. Now, I understood that, and I didn't argue with it. And I could see why they put a line in the sand and said 4 is too many. 1 more is not going to benefit the sport of boxing. So now we come down 20 years later. So if you have 4 titles to 17 divisions, you have 68 world titles. Well, now any one sanctioning body can have 68 world titles, quasi-world titles. Well, you can call them whatever you want to. So that argument that was originally made by some of those writers back 20 years ago, which I understood and to some degree embraced as a good reason, is now, as far as I'm concerned, it's total hypocrisy to say that we're not recognizing the IBO because there's too many world titles. Wait a second. We had 1 world title 20 years ago. We still have 1 world title. And my praise goes to the other sanctioning bodies that still have 1 world title. Because there is enough. Boxing, particularly now, has taken off like a rocket ship the last few years, as you guys know. And there's a need for more than 1 world title because there's, countries have 20,000 fighters registered in any particular country. So there's a need for world titles, but not what's going on now when the fan can't recognize in any division there could be 10 world titles in 1 division alone. So that's my take on what's going on with the unbelievable amount of secondary or whatever you want to call them world titles. I mean, it seems like the specialty of some sanctioning bodies today is to invent a new name for a world title. The IBO is never going to do that. I'll tell you that.
So, since you seem like a guy that has a good sense of humor, some free advice. Allegedly, the PBC is denouncing the recognition of the WBO. Now, if you go through the WBO rankings, you only see 2 PBC fighters, and that's in the welterweight division, and that's because Top Rank desperately needs inventory for Terrence Crawford. So I'm wondering, are you seeing this as a business opportunity to maybe get in where you fit in? Because if they're denouncing one, they can start to recognize another. And obviously that, because right now PBC is ignoring you, right? Like Andy Ruiz won your title. They continuously put him on the graphic as the IBF and the WBA. They're not recognizing the IBO. They're not recognizing the WBO on the graphics. He carries them to some of the locations. We see him bringing them with him. Sometimes he has it, sometimes he doesn't. On Jimmy Kimmel Live, I didn't see a picture of it or video of it, but in Mexico, I seen him with it. Just yesterday, I believe he was on ESPN Deportes with it. So it's got to be frustrating for you where, you got Julian Williams wins the title from Jarrett Hurd, who successfully and, proudly had your title around his arms for many, many fights. Then, Williams comes, he wins it, and again, the PBC doesn't say IBO.
Yeah, there's definitely an opportunity there. I think there's more and more people in the broadcast industry are waking up to the fact that they're waking up to the fact that certain promoters are aligned with certain sanctioning bodies. It's not an open field for to go to any sanctioning body. It's a known fact that Top Rank does most of their business with the WBO. It's a known fact that I can't think of the name of the promoter in England who
Eddie Hearn, Frank
also
Warren.
does most. Frank Warren is who I was thinking about. Certain promoters just do the majority of their business with certain sanctioning bodies, and that gives them, a handle on the ratings. Those sanctioning bodies are more likely, since they have a business relationship. Because of those business relationships, they're more inclined to rate the fighters under the management or promotional management of that particular promoter. So there is an opportunity here for the IBO. We'd like to believe that we do business with everybody equally, and to some degree we do. I think the PBC has been very open to do business with us. They know that our rankings are, all computerized. So where you're ranked is where you're ranked, and if your fighter's eligible, you can fight for the IBO title. More and more, the affiliations are getting tighter and tighter. I think that's affecting some of the other promoters. I think Eddie Hearn realizes at this point that there are certain sanctioning bodies that will be difficult to deal with because of their other relationships.
I got a hardcore boxing question for you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, since we're talking about welterweights and things like that, can we expect Thulani Minge and Sebastian Formella to rematch their fight since Thulani was the champion? Does he get another crack at the title, or does Sebastian but decides what he does next?
Well, there's a couple. It's difficult to answer for this reason. We have the rights to impose mandatories. We don't impose mandatories typically without an elimination fight or without a good reason to impose a mandatory. That reason, I'm going to get back to Formella in a second, but the reason, if one of our champions is not fighting quality opposition, we impose mandatories, but we do so very carefully. In Formella's case, it was a very close fight. The scorecards are all in agreement. I mean, a very well scored fight. There was an option. Thulani had an option for a rematch, but they could not agree on an opponent for a rematch. So as of now, Formella can choose his next opponent. He can choose whoever he wishes to fight next.
So
I think down the road the fight makes sense as a rematch because that particular promoter now has a good television contract in Germany, and that Formella Mabengi fight was well received on television, and they're going to look to do the rematch, I think, as a very marketable rematch. But I think Formella will have one voluntary or one fight before that rematch. That's my personal thoughts on it.
So, Ed, the fighters that are in your computerized rankings, are they paying sanctioning fees until they get the shot, or do you come to them and say, look, you're ranked number 1 and number 2, we can put you in the eliminator if you're willing to pay the shot? And I'm just curious because I'm looking at the welterweight division, and poor Thulani Minge has dropped tremendously to the number 14, but Danny Garcia is number 1, and I'm like, wait a minute, is Danny paying? Does Danny want the IBO? Is he gonna try and go for the IBO and then try to unify? Like, what's going on? So only you can answer and say, yeah, Danny's been paying for 10 years, and it's like, okay, whoa.
No, well, actually, I'm just reaching out. I went walk back into another room here, reaching out for my ratings. The IBO rating is completely computerized, so no one pays for ratings at all. If you're number 1, you're number 1 because that's what our computer program says you are. That you're the number 1 ranked welterweight. Now, does Danny Garcia? Does he become the mandatory? No, that's not the way we operate. If he wanted to fight for the title, could he petition? Could he ask the IBO to make him the mandatory? Yes, he could. Can we make him the mandatory? Yes, we can. Would he fight for the IBO title? Maybe not, because it becomes a monetary question. Does a fight between Danny Garcia and Formella make monetary sense? Would he be paid enough money to fight Formella? And at this point in time, to be frank with you, probably not. So that's a different scenario than where you have somebody, let's say, the number one ranked, I guess a better division would be super welterweight. We have Julian Williams is our champion. At some point in time, this is not going to happen, but at some point in time, well, this is not a good example because they're signed. Hurd versus Williams is going to happen now. But let's say Lara became the number one ranked super welterweight, and Julian Williams, or whoever wins the rematch, does not have a good fight schedule. The IBO is capable of making Lara, designating him as a mandatory. And that fight could happen because it would make sense. Lara is a former IBO champion. Either Hurd or Williams are both IBO titleists. A mandatory in that situation would make sense because the money's there. That's the business of boxing.
Danny Garcia versus Sebastian Formella only makes sense if you have that conversation I'm telling you about, where you're like, listen, Al, you're denouncing WBO, recognize the IBO, you put Danny in there, and then all of a sudden they got another welterweight champ. So the monetary loss isn't thought about now because you're going to get gain on the back end because now Danny's a champ unifying with Earl Spence if Pacquiao decides, well, not Earl Spence, winner of Earl Spence, Sean Porter, if Pacquiao decides that he doesn't want that winner, you know?
Nestor, you got something there actually, because of the that is a very enlightening what you just said, because of PBC and because of the money behind PBC and because of the money that puts behind Danny Garcia. If there was a mandatory and they could not reach an agreement on a suitable purse, it would go to Purse Biz. And there's no question the PBC would win the purse bids over Formella's promoter, and they could do that fight. It would make monetary sense, and Danny would pick up the IBO title and put him in a much better position. You happen to be right.
So now a guy that always recognizes the IBO is Chris Eubank Jr., but I want to walk you through a story where once upon a time Eubank was the 168-pound champion with the IBO and DeGale was the IBF 68-pound champion, and he said, I will never unify with Chris Eubank Jr. The IBO isn't a real title. He's joking with that title. Then he turns around a couple of years later, and I believe he retired. Chris Eubank retired. He hasn't fought since then, so it's like a fake retirement for the IBO. What was the thought process in letting him fight for a belt that he disrespected in the public on his social media? I mean, it's probably still up.
Yeah, no, I saw it, I read it, and at this point in time, I've sort of got hard skin to hang in this business for as long as I have. But the statements made by DeGale were more or less anger at. I didn't take them too seriously because that was his anger with Chris Eubank Jr. more than his anger against the IBO. He was just trying to put Eubank Jr. down. So I sort of let that roll off my back. I said to myself at the time, well, when the money's right, he will fight for the IBO title. He'll pay the sanction fees for the IBO title, which he did, by the way. And if he was not interested in the IBO title, why would he pay sanction fees? And I can assure you, he paid sanction fees, and the full sanction fee. So,
So,
this
Mr.
is,
Yeah, I just want to
typical.
say before you move on, I love that you said the full sanctioning fee because you know there was going to be a bunch of conspiracy theorists like myself. I'll put myself in that category and say, yeah, but I'm sure he gave him a deal.
Well, you know what? We sometimes, not always, but sometimes, if there are, particularly if there are multiple sanctioning bodies, we do discount our sanction fees. But when we first started out, we gave a lot of deals, Nestor and Michael, a lot of deals. We had to. But now we've reached a stage where our sanctioning fees may not be as high as the other sanctioning bodies, but the vast majority of fighters who fight for our titles pay sanction fees. When you get into the very, very elite fighters, however, whether it be Anthony Joshua or any of the really elite fighters, they all negotiate with the sanctioning bodies, not just the IBO. If you think about the numbers, some of the numbers are so crazy today. If you take a percentage of $10 million, it's an astronomical amount of money. And fighters and the management negotiate. That's a given.
So, what made Mr. Levine get in the sport of boxing? Like, this is a crazy, crazy sport, and a lot of things go on. And what did you do before you were in the sport of boxing?
Well, I read that you were part of the WBO, and like you were the CEO or the vice president. And then you said, 1999, you started the IBO. So that's really the interesting story because I was giving you time, Ed, but it looks like I'm going to have to put my foot down. We need to know why you started this thing and why is yours supposedly better? Are you in this business to rid us of the other ones and you are allegedly the best? Are you the superhero of sanctioning bodies? But you haven't said that, and we need to know. You keep saying, yeah, I know you guys don't want a fifth one, but you're not telling us why we should accept a fifth.
Okay, well, I gave you one reason about the multiplicity of titles, but I'll give you some other reasons. The main difference. Well, first, you asked me a couple of questions there. First of all, congratulations on doing your homework because yes, when the WBO was formed in 1988, I was one of the initial officers of the WBO. And for about 4 or 5 years, I was the chairman of the Championships Committee of the WBO. So that was the beginning of my involvement in the sanctioning body business. When the WBO had a change I believe it was 1993, more or less, there were elections for a new president, and couple of people who were running for president at that time. I just decided I just didn't want to stay with. It was nothing against the WBO, by the way. I just decided that I did not want to continue doing what I was doing. I was a lawyer at the time. I had a very thriving law practice, and I was taking too much time away from my law practice. I was much younger at the time, needless to say. So I just resigned from the WBO. I still have a very cordial relationship and much respect for the WBO, but that's where I got started. But before that, I was a boxing judge. That taught me a lot about boxing, just being at a lot of great fights, judged some great fights in my career. Judged Mancini Bramble. I judged Tucker versus Douglas. Some great fights. And that led to the WBO, and that led ultimately in 2000 to the IBO, starting the IBO. Not starting, it was already a corporation, but taking it over and doing something with it. So now to your question. That's the background. That was your first question. The background, I saw boxing sanctioning bodies as not being ideally what I consider the sanctioning body should be. Number one is I wanted ratings to be real ratings, not business ratings or ratings based upon affiliations. So I said, why don't we just go with computerized ratings? and therefore myself and the people working in my organization would have no control whatsoever over ratings. So that if your fighter, based upon his record, moves up in the ratings, he moves up in the ratings. Number two, I did not want to be controlled by any particular promoter. I didn't want to be known as a sanctioning body that is run by or controlled by or affiliated with one or two promotional companies. So I wanted to open it up to everybody. Number three, I did not want to have mandatories unless they were needed. I felt that mandatories could be abused if not used properly. That you would take the ability of a fighter to earn the most possible money away from him by imposing mandatories based upon your affiliations. So our mandatory rules are drafted much differently than the other sanctioning bodies. Another reason, I want to be totally transparent. I wanted the IBO to be known as a sanctioning body that was totally transparent, nothing that respected, run with integrity. I will tell both of you that in the 20 years that I've been president, we've never been sued. What does that tell you? No one's seen the opportunity to sue us because our rules are uniformly enforced and applied to everyone. This has not been an easy road, guys. It's not, boxing doesn't necessarily favor how you do business. Boxing favors relationships and where's the money. So not that we're in this not to make money, we are, but we were trying to do it a different way. So what have we attained? Transparency. Look up our ratings. Look at our newsletters. Look at what we do. If you see a fighter fighting for our title, he earned it. He's got to be in our computer ratings and earn it. If he's not, he doesn't get the fight. We turn down more fights than any other sanctioning body, even at the regional level. If a fighter has a losing record, or he's lost too many fights, or he's obviously not competitive anymore, we won't sanction it. Even as an opponent, we just won't sanction it. So that's what my vision is. It's not been easy. It's like, you push a rock up the road and it rolls back every time. Getting attention, the right kind of attention, has not been easy.
So I need to understand this no mandatory thing, because if you have no mandatory, how does the number one contender become a champion? And the only way that a champion can, stick around for these big fights that you're saying he's going to make money is if he gets a unification. Other sanctioning bodies have to recognize the IBO for those big fights to take place.
No, they don't have to recognize the IBO for those fights to take place because, in fact, they don't recognize the IBO. Nestor, when we go to a fight, we have a cordial relationship with these sanctioning bodies because we understand what they do. They're not doing anything illegal. They're not, they're not doing anything. They have a different business model. But if they don't have to, the other sanctioning bodies do not have to call it a unification with the IBO for that fighter to also fight for the IBO title. Because, in fact, the other sanctioning bodies have never called a fight with the IBO a unification, ever. When a fighter has two titles, one being another sanctioning body and the IBO, that other sanctioning body, who is one of what you call the Big Four, they don't call their champion a unified champion. Doesn't mean that champion doesn't hold and keep the IBO title for some of the reasons that I mentioned earlier. Because he knows he can keep it, he knows that he can defend it, and he knows that he can use it as a negotiation tool.
I got a question.
But if he's
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Go ahead, Michael.
Uh, I got a question about your computerized rankings. I want to know what information goes into the computerized rankings and getting the one, two, three, and so on.
Okay, well, our computerized rankings are supplied by, but not identical to, BoxRec. Um, we all our algorithms, all our computer programs are supplied by BoxRec, which, as you know, is the foremost supplier of boxing records in the world. They are associated with, I believe at this time they're associated, not believe, I know they're associated with the ABC, that every fight in the world goes into the computer system. And there's software based upon, I can just give you a basic, because to explain the whole software, exactly how it works, is impossible, particularly for me. I'm not one of the young computer guys that understands all the computer stuff anyway, but it's based upon, if you went onto BoxRec, you'll see every fighter has points. Pick any fighter at random, look him up on BoxRec, and you'll see he has a certain number of points. Our computer system is the same thing. If you have, let's say you have 100 points, I'm making these numbers up, and let's say you fight a fighter who has 50 points, and the number of points you have tells you where you are in the rankings. If the fighter who has 50 points beats the fighter with 100 points, he gets a percentage of that fighter's points and moves ahead of that fighter. And the fighter who loses a percentage of points. So it's all based upon a point system. The better you can have 20 wins and no losses and have no points. Because if you beat fighters who have no points, you're not going to get any points. That's the basis of a point system. And then how you win gives you more points. If you win by split decision, you get less points. If you win by TKO, you get more points. If you win by KO, you get more points. If it's a draw, the fighter who has less points moves up a little because he now drew with a fighter who had more points than him. So that's just the basic. But it's a very, very intricate system of software that rates fighters and takes them down in the ratings as they fight poor opposition. If a fighter just keeps padding his record with fighting losers, he doesn't move up because he gets no points, well, very little points. So to get to be in the top of the computer ratings, either in the IBO or BoxRec, you got to beat good boxers. You can't get there by winning a regional title. You can't get there by any other means except beating good fighters. And that's what our system is based upon. If for no other reason, I've had people in the past who don't even use the IBO or do business with the IBO say to me, I once had the person who ran HBO said, that's my Bible. The IBO rankings are my Bible. I don't go anywhere without it. We send out the top 100 every month. You might, I don't know if either of you guys get it, but if you open it up, you can use it as an informational tool. We're different, guys. We're not the same. We don't aspire to be the same as the other four sanctioning bodies.
So, AJ had this great line where he said, we're not here to partake, we're here to take over. Do you think you need to have that sort of mentality because 5 being too much? Like when I got into this business, I did it because the people I were working with, I felt like I can do better. So obviously, I feel like you were with the WBO, you resigned, you had to have seen what you can do better. Like, do you envision a better way for boxing fans? Because honestly, we don't want 50 million belts. But we would love to legitimize just one. And, you got a big hill to climb because WBC, the fans are in love with that belt no matter what wrong or right they do. It's one of those belts that's just been around forever, and obviously, you know, Muhammad Ali, et cetera, the way they love to paint it.
No, I don't disagree with anything you're saying, Nestor. I don't think that the IBO is looking to supplant a particular sanctioning body. I think that, however, I do strongly believe that if the IBO has to be in boxing, because if it's not, you're just enabling and strengthening some other organizations and reinforcing what they have, which is a monopoly on the sport. If you took any business and you put only 4, you name the business, there were only 4 radio stations, and they had a monopoly on radio stations, well, people they can't listen. There's nobody else to listen to. So you could do anything you want. You could say anything you want. You could run your radio station any way you wanted to. You need a counterbalance to some of these organizations, or else they're just going to do whatever they want. I mean, you're seeing it right now with the proliferation of belts. What's the alternative? You can't stop them. You've shown the inability to stop them. You're a very astute radio and boxing guy. You can come out tomorrow and knock this from left, right, and backwards and saying how it's a bad thing for the sport. It's not going to stop them, Nestor. That's what they do. That's their business. And it's not illegal, but that's what they do. And if you're saying, well, I don't want to recognize the IBO because there's too many belts. Are you kidding me? We've got one belt. We had one belt 20 years ago, and we still have one belt. But yet you will recognize I love the term. We don't recognize the IBO. It's not a recognized. Or what bothers me even more is when they say the IBO is not respected. Well, what's the word respect mean? What's really the definition of respect? Recognized, yes. We're not recognized as much as the other sanctioning bodies. There's no question about it. That's a fact. But don't say that the IBO is not respected, because I think we are respected. We've had 400 world title fights in the last 20 years. Somebody respected us, or else we wouldn't have 400 world title fights. 400 plus. I don't even know the number. Just world title fights.
I like it. Does the IBO have or use any official drug agency doping agency like VADA, USADA, or WADA?
Our championship rules recognizes all of them. I think I lose sleep over this, Michael, because I think the best example is the recent example with Dylan White. He was tested by. Well, first, to answer your questions, we recognize any WADA authorized drug testing agency. We certainly recognize and endorse VADA, like everything that VADA does. The problem is you have different commissions, different jurisdictions around the world, and sometimes there's an overlap. For example, with Dylan White, he failed, or he came up positive with a WADA agency that is used in England. I forget the exact UCAD, I think it's called UKAD, United Kingdom Anti-Doping. So he came up positive. First, he came up negative with VADA. There were 2 tests done by VADA. Both came up negative. But in between those 2 tests, there was a WADA test under the auspices of UCAD, which came up positive. So now you've got problems. You've got how do you sort those problems out? And so he's got to clean VADA reports, and he's not done with the UCAD report yet because that requires a B sample to be confirmed that the first sample, which was positive, was correct. And that's still up in the air. So here you have just a very, very, very bad situation for boxing. I don't know how to solve it. I think that we're very conscious right now in boxing of the need for testing, the need for, in an ideal world, there'd be one testing agency that's recognized, and there'd be, strong formats. But it's hard for a sanctioning body to do this. I think it's crucial for the ABC to get involved with this and set exact guidelines, because right now you have different rules and different commissions. Even in the United States, I believe, each commission controls their own drug testing. The old way, an A sample and then a B sample, taken either before or after the fight. But I think that testing in and out of competition is important. We had a meeting in California with the various sanctioning bodies in the California Commission, discussing drug testing, as well as, the other big problem we have now in boxing is weight cutting and weigh-ins. These are two most important things that have to be addressed, and I think they have to be addressed by mostly by boxing commissions, because the real governing bodies in the sport, even though some of you call sanctioning bodies governing bodies, we're not governing bodies. Boxing commissions are governing bodies. They have the staff, the wherewithal, the financing, the backup of the states to do this right. And I think that's the direction we have to go in and are going in. Sorry to be on this grandstand, but I think these are the two most important issues that we have in front of us right now, a drug test.
So
really.
I wanted to ask, the WBC likes to, I guess, publicize that they were instrumental in turning boxing from 15 rounds to 12 rounds for the betterment of the sport, to save, watch the health and safety, etc. Obviously now they have become kind of like, even though, us boxing fans still, you know how we are. We're fickle, right? So, like, we love and hate the WBC, but we definitely respect the fact that now they've enforced their top 15 to do random drug testing by VADA, which they pay for. Is the IBO doing anything of this fashion, not just in drug testing, but just like to better the sport? Like, what are you doing with all this sanctioning body money,
Well, I'll tell you something that's very interesting. I'll have two questions you asked there. Some years ago, somebody, I'll leave names out of this one, somebody at HBO asked me, well, what are you doing with all the money you make? Because, interestingly, the other four sanctioning bodies are non-profit. The IBO is a for-profit corporation. I sent him our financial statements, that person. And I said, all this money we're making, let me send you our financial statements. And he was flabbergasted. Not by the amount of money, by how little it was. Because running this organization properly and with the amount of activity we have, there is not huge profits. I can guarantee you that if I sent them to you, you'd say, you got to be kidding me. And it's just, it's like, I can assure you I made much more money as a lawyer than I ever made, either in salary or in profits than I've ever made with the IBO. This is a love, this is a project of love that I do it because I love it. I like to be involved in the sport. I understand the sport. I'm trying to do something well with the sport. And we do things with the sport quietly. Even though we're profit-making, we donate to a lot of boxing charities and things that are important to boxing. I respect what the WBC is doing. The WBC, admittedly, I've spoken to Suleiman, They want to do more than just be a sanctioning body. They want to be a regulatory body. They want to get involved at a higher level than some of the other sanctioning bodies want to be involved, myself included. We don't have the ability to be involved with the at the level that WBC is. It's just that simple. Do I agree with everything the WBC does? Absolutely not. Do I applaud them for some of the things they do? Absolutely do. I think the VADA change is, we have already incorporated VADA into our rules. That's something that has to be done. VADA testing, at a minimum, VADA testing for all championship fights. At a minimum. If you're going to fight for our title, you have to enroll in VADA. That's simple.
Well, Mr. Levine, I want to thank you. Obviously, that's all my questions. If you have any social media you want to give out, you can do so at this time. We do appreciate you taking out the time to come on the program and answer all our questions and obviously educate us on the IBO. Definitely learned a lot.
Oh, one more question.
Uh-oh.
Well, go ahead, Michael.
What is that belt made of? That mug is heavy. We got a replica at Nissa's house, and I picked it up. I was like, bro, what is this made of? It's like, it feels like the real actual belt.
Well, when I go fishing on the weekends, I use it as an anchor. I don't really know. They come from, we use two sources. They both use the same product. It is, I guess they're some kind of a metal or steel or lead that they put in it. The fighters love the heavy belts. If at one point in time we had a supplier, we got much lighter belts because they're easy to ship, easier to move around with, easier to give to supervisors to bring to the fights, and the fighters absolutely did not like them. They wanted belts that are substantially heavy. So I can't answer what's in them, but they are heavy. But I hope you enjoy the displaying the belt. We think we have one of the handsomest belts out there. So next time we talk, by the way, we should talk about women's boxing. I think that's a topic that should be discussed by somebody.
Absolutely.
Definitely. We'll schedule you again. We want to thank you, obviously, for your time. If you got any social media, you can give it out at this time.
I will. Thank you very much. Great speaking to you guys. Take care.
All right. Well, take care. There you have it. Ed Levine, president of the IBO. Very informative, man. I learned a lot. I definitely learned a lot about the IBO. The computerized rankings. I didn't know they didn't do mandatories.
That's the one thing I was like, that mandatory thing was like, I would like to see mandatories, but
Listen, I want to see Al. Look. First of all,
he gonna run with your idea.
I didn't know it was.
You gonna see?
No, but it's different. It's different though. He's for profit. All the other ones I think are non-profit. So I don't know. I don't know if they'll align. But listen, he got to see the opportunity there with the IBO being shunned away. There's an opportunity, and I just wanted a better business plan. I'm sorry. I wanted a better mission statement. Like I wanted him to be me, right? Like for all the reasons I started doing this, I wanted to hear that from him. Like, when I got into this, it's like I felt like the people doing this were not giving a voice to the people. And that's why that became our slogan, because we became the biggest call-in show. We allowed the people to express their opinions. And through that, you hear those frustrations. So, you want to do better. So when I got involved, I wanted to be better than the rest of the people hosting, boxing shows and allegedly taking calls and etc., right? Trying to make a difference. So I wanted to hear him, especially working for the WBO. Like, there's no way that you don't recognize the WBO is a fucking. They're like with Frank Warren and Top Rank. They're like in the pocket, and now it's more obvious because the two of those have combined like Voltron, right? It's like Frank Warren and ESPN and Top Rank are now the same exact thing. So.
I think he said it without saying it, though. You know what I'm saying?
But I need you to come in and you heard me set him up. Be the superhero because we do need someone to clean it up. Not just say
he still has.
But Mike, I don't want to just hear. Well, right now there's 68,000 belts, so you need us because no. I want to hear, bro. The WBA is out of control. I wanted to hear him say. Didn't Mendoza say 3 years ago he was abolishing belts and now he got a gold title?
He took a shot though. Like
I know he took a shot. He said intergalactic and all that. But what I'm saying is, what are you doing to push those guys out that are freaking up the sport?
He ain't big enough yet.
Well, and that's why he got to go align with Al. Right now, your opportunity is to fit in where the WBO put their foot in their mouth right now. If you can get in there and somehow convince Danny and Al that it's worth fighting for Mella or stripping for Mella. You gotta strip up. Somebody gotta take it. Somebody gotta take one for the team. We gonna get Formella. What's it? Emeritus. No. I'm lying. Ed, don't listen to me. Don't start making emeritus titles. But if we gotta strip Formella for the betterment of the sport, we gotta strip Formella. Let Danny and Mikey Garcia fight for that belt.
Man, he gonna let Formella fight for the title.
Listen, you strip them for the betterment of the sport. Let Danny and Mikey fight for that belt so that if Earl and Porter winner get out of that fight looking too dominant and Pacquiao's on his 40-year-old, I'm a legend.
Though.
What?
He strip Formella, man.
Listen, Mike. I know you're upset. I know you're upset, but I was beating the drum for Top Rank to sign Tolani Mins just so that the IBO could have this. Listen, Ed is still on the line. Look, I was beating the drum for you, Ed. I wanted Tolani Mins to get signed when he was undefeated so that Terrence Crawford finally had a welterweight. Let them put on this great unification, hence giving you the publicity and recognition that you needed. I know you don't like that word, but let's be honest, that's what we need. We need the IBO to be recognized. So if Top Rank would have did a unification with Tolani Minge, it would have happened. What happens? Tolani Minge goes to Germany to fight Sebastian Formella. We never heard of Formella until Tolani fought him. He made him popular. So, okay, Formella wins now. Is Top Rank and Crawford going to look that way? It don't even look sexy anymore. But if you can get a Top Rank to recognize that IBO and make a unification with Crawford, boom, that's what you need. You need them to recognize it as a unification. What's up?
I just hate the fact that we still like say, well, we don't recognize that. Like, bro, by saying we don't recognize it, you're giving it validation by recognizing it.
Well, I recognize it.
I'm saying by saying we don't recognize it, bro. You just gave it validation by bringing it up. So I don't want to hear that we don't recognize it. In Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Anthony Joshua, Triple G, Chris Eubank Jr.,
Vladimir Klitschko. Listen, I'll take you back. Vic Darchinyan, bro. Like, listen, that's the issue though. Like, that's the issue, right? Like, guys like Gennady have the belt, and then all of a sudden he loses it to Canelo, and Canelo doesn't recognize it. Canelo's not, using it or flaunting it. So, and then Gennady doesn't turn around and say, all right, I'm fighting Steve Rose. Let me get the IB. Like, he should have fought for it, right? Listen.
Got it though, right?
Huh?
Don't Canelo still got it?
Listen, that's the problem. That's the problem. Like, they win it that night, and then we barely. Andy's doing the best job of, every now and then you see.
Well, yeah,
Andy,
but when have we ever seen Canelo just walk around with belts and
nah,
shit?
bro. I got pictures of Canelo. I mean, go like that. No, come on, bro. He had you didn't see it on the couch.
Yeah,
when he beat Daniel Jacobs, he had all his belts on the couch. It wasn't there, and that's what I'm saying.
It wasn't there?
No, it wasn't there. So if it's not there, You should have put it back on the line for Steve Rose. Gennady needs to start recognizing it the way Vic Darchinyan did. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, Stephen Fulton recognizes it. So you gotta, use people like that.
We should have asked
like
him,
Chris Eubank.
We should have asked him, will it be on the line when Gennady faces Derevchenko for the IBF? You know what I'm saying?
But that's my problem. That would be the wrong time to put it on the line. So now that Gennady's in a big fight, we're gonna you should have put it on the line when he fought Steve Rose. If he's ranked, I don't know what the rankings are because again, it's computerized rankings. But all I'm saying is, from a business standpoint, he need to get an alliance. Unfortunately, and I know that's exactly what he doesn't stand for, right? He's like, yo, we don't want to be, but how else are you gonna get ahead if you're not coming from the standpoint where you're gonna build up the sport where you could get money donated to you because like you're trying to do something for the sport? Then you need something. The
only thing that I would like to see the IBO possibly do is rank champions in your rankings.
What?
Fuck.
But why? It ain't gonna push a unification.
I mean, but you can mandate it and shit. If they don't want to fight, they don't want to fight.
He already said he doesn't even mandate, and that's another thing. He said if
it don't call for it. Now, say if you had Earl Spence versus Terrence Crawford.
No, but that's the thing. Let me explain. He said that there's no mandatories, but a fighter with the popularity of Danny could petition. So it's like, it's still about the funds. It's still about the funds. Listen, the whole sanctioning body thing is flawed, man. We need to correct it in some way.
Like he said, the WBC is trying to be a regulatory body, and that's what it's going to take for sanctioning bodies to be more accountable for their actions.
And that's probably what they need to do. I my motto, man. I wish they all got together.
That's my plan too.
One belt.
Too much money out there
take Muhammad Ali's face off and Jose Sulaiman, rest in peace. Put the other belts on there and let's transform, Let's get together and make change, betterment for the sport.
The same reason
one belt and one mandatory contender. That's it. The number one gets a shot. You get one voluntary. That old petition for this super fight, man, that's what causes congestion. We need to get rid of the WBA. We need to get rid of the WBA. This man Mendoza evades the media. He is a hypocrite. 3 years ago, he said he was going to abolish the amount of belts. Now he made a new belt for Virgil Ortiz and for the heavyweight Joe Joyce. The gold super dub. Man, listen. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. What happens in his sanctioning body in terms of drug testing, people pop, he takes them out, puts them in, listen. Crazy. They got too many titles, man. They got too many. That WBA has way too many titles. I have to get more educated on the WBO because I'm starting to see intercontinentals. They got it's too many. It's too many. Yeah. Too many.
But the same way that these sanctioning bodies would never get together is like the same thing that stands for the promoters. It's just too much money to be made individually than collectively.
Not necessarily. I mean, if we take him for his word, if he's saying he ain't making that much and he was a lawyer making more, then it probably serve him better to get down with the WBC.
I mean, but how do you incorporate the WBC in the IBO?
I mean, that's for him to bridge the gap. That's for him. They recognize the WBC,
Yeah.
I'm telling you I'm giving you the plan. I'm giving you the plan, but obviously he's gonna say that he's got integrity, but you got to get where you got to go. But that's what I'm saying. If you're gonna take that route where you're gonna go against your mission statement and align yourself with a promoter, then there's got to be a means to an end. There's got to be a reason that you need this money to do what for the sport. Because, all right, let's be honest, we don't love them, but, man, WBCs make change. They make change, bro. They
Yeah,
are on
they do a lot
they
of good
are on
things.
top of things. They call suspensions. They do like something's always given. Yes, they're not perfect. They got a lot of belts too. I think they got too many too. Now there's emeritus. You got emeritus champion. You got diamond, Mayan belts, interim belts, WBC silver belts.
Silver, yep.
I mean, intercontinental belts, WBC youth champion belts, WBC Latino belts, WBC European champions.
Ain't the NABO part of the WBC too?
I don't even know. Listen, that is a web that is, like there's a door behind. I feel like, that part in the Matrix with all the doors with the key man. It's just like you don't know, man. You go open one door, you don't know where you're gonna be at with the amount of belts, and that's why, again, I would like to hear somebody look, and it's nothing against Ed, right? Like everyone that watched the evolution of Al Heyman and PBC heard me cheering for him. I wanted him to swallow everyone, Bob Arum included. Why? Because I feel that one is better. One is better. There's a lot of people with that mindset that they're like, oh, I wish boxing with that was like UFC. Yes, me too. So that the loss doesn't mean nothing, so that the contender can get a shot, so that the champion can't duck. Yes, so one is better. So I wanted Al to swallow everybody. I wanted them all gone. Well, look, even though boxing is in a better place right now, financially as a consumer, it's not. $20 to DAZN, $5.99 to ESPN, $10 to Showtime, and whatever your cable bill is for terrestrial television for Fox and ESPN. Like, it's not even cheap to be a boxing fan. Then you got your occasional pay-per-view. You got your Earl Spence on pay-per-view. You got Pacquiao on pay-per-view every other month. So, like, one is better, man. I wish that this was Marvel, right? You see what Marvel's doing? Say, hell no, man. We're putting everything on our app. Or is it Disney? Whoever it is. They're like, man, everything here. Do it that way. Especially with boxing being so small, we need a governing body universally so that there isn't a banned substance in the UK that's not on the banned substance list in the US, right? There isn't something, right? Like Billy Joe can't use nasal spray in America, but he can use it in the UK. Like, no. We need one governing body. Whatever that is. I mean, whatever that is, bro.
Yeah, it's a proven fact that one is better. If you look at the NBA, NFL, MLB, UFC, you know what I'm saying? All those guys have one main governing body, sanctioning body that impose rules, drug tests, pays the players, you know what I'm saying? Does everything. Players got insurance. Players have a players association, you know what I'm saying? Boxing needs that, by the way. They need a boxing players fighting association or something like that. But yeah, man, it's a proven fact that when you have one, that means you have the best fighting the best talent, and under one roof. So there's no ducking or dodging. That team got to play that team. That fight has to happen because he's the number one contender. He's the number two guy. So there's no way that they can duck each other. So yeah, I totally agree that one is better, and we are paying way too much money to be consuming boxing on a monthly basis.
Joseph Jackson, but why PBC? I said at the time when PBC emerged, remember, he was the only one doing that. He was the only one buying up all the inventory, I mean boxers. He was the only one putting boxing on terrestrial television. He was laughed at for making boxing free, okay? So yeah, I wanted to back the dude that actually tried to do it first, not the people that, sued him and then turned around and stole his idea. That's all. But ultimately, I don't care. If ESPN has all the money, we'll let them buy. But they can't, right? They didn't convince Wilder, right? They did a 5-fight deal. It wasn't enough. DAZN either. You see me behind DAZN. They're buying up the street too. But they didn't convince Wilder. They did a poor deal, They gave Canelo the money. But listen, the president hung up. He stuck around and heard some of our bashing, so hopefully he didn't take it personally. But he didn't stick around for the second way that the alliance with PBC would work. Obviously, Andy is dragging his feet with negotiations. Have the IBO move in, take their belt, sanction Luis Ortiz, Wilder. Have Wilder now and Danny Garcia and Mikey Garcia both fight for those IBOs. Hence, 2 elite level fighters, well, 3 with Mikey, recognizing it overnight recognition. If all of a sudden Showtime
you can say 4. I mean, we can say Luis Ortiz is a top 10 heavyweight, top 7.
I mean, you like to bash him, so I was just trying to save the argument. But if we have those right there, if you have Fox or Showtime, whoever's alleged to be carrying this pay-per-view for Wilder, pushing it as a unification, same thing I was trying to tell Terrence Crawford, but y'all don't want to listen to me. You know what I'm saying? You need to get on the phone with your man and let him know. Fight Sebastian Famella. Make it a unification. Throw the IBO a bone. You need to. For Wilder right now, he don't even need this left field IBO unification thing because, they probably banking on them belts staying there anyway, which brings me to this. Bang, that's where it's at right now. It's Al Heyman, versus your good boy, Eddie Silver Spoon Hearns for all the belts, man. And that's the way it's going down. So we'll see what happens. We'll see who ends up with him, but, it's a plan. It's a plan for recognition, and I think that it would garner some. If Wilder recognized it, the only American heavyweight recognized it, I don't know. And maybe you do an Andy Ruiz since he works with Al. You have Andy Ruiz hold the press conference. You already on Fox. Get Fox News. All the cameras. He there with all the belts, and he's like, "Yo, man, hey, oh." And since we talking Andy Ruiz and AJ, ultimately, I got so this is perfect. So you get Andy Ruiz to come, and he's like, "Yeah, guys, because I signed a contract. I got to go to Saudi Arabia and defend my belts. But, it's just a big trip, man. So I'm gonna vacate the IBO. And, I need to save all my money because the U.S. government has limited ability to provide emergency services to U.S. citizens in, Saudi Arabia or 50 miles from the Saudi-Yemen border, including cities of Jazan and Narjan, and obviously, in Riyadh and Jeddah international airports and Saudi Aramco facilities, these places have been targeted because Americans frequent them. So, I'm just scared. Ultimately, that's why I've been dragging my feet. But
you gave my whole speech or something?
I'm going to drop this IBO.
You made a speech for him? What the fuck is going on?
No, those are just facts. Those are just facts for people who keep saying that, it's safe to go to Saudi Arabia. They've had, attacks on their airport, on Saudi Arabia has been frequently targeted of attacks for U.S. citizens living and working near such installations, particularly in the near borders of Yemen. All right, so it's a heightened risk of missile and drone attacks. I mean, over there in those areas of, it says of Riyadh and Jeddah and the international airport and the Aramco facilities, it says that the rebel groups are also in possession of unmanned aerial systems, parentheses, armed drones. I'm good, man. I'm going to watch it on
And
Dazn.
shout out to Ness for getting this goddamn C and N on, nigga, this morning.
No, because, that's why I'm showing on the screen Andy's live, because he said, the U.S. can't protect, you know why I can't talk about it. So that's probably why they was waiting, you know what I'm saying? Like, making sure he's going to have protection. It's serious, bro. But, shout out to Team Ruiz. They sent me that update link, so that I can know what's going on. But, yeah, man, all the belts. What you think? Wilder in the unification with Luis Ortiz. You buying it? Is you pushing it? Don't act like you ain't pushing it, Mike, because you know you was pushing Wilder for the lineal championship with Tyson Fury. Don't act like you wasn't. Don't act like you wasn't.
I don't think that's a good look for the IBO stripping somebody. If the IBO said they'll give him an exemption, I think Andy deserves an exemption for the IBO too. He won it fair and square. Why take it from him? Same thing with Sebastian Formella. Let Danny fight him, or let Sebastian get a nice little paycheck. He probably didn't get paid that much for 20 million, you know what I'm saying? Let him get a couple $100,000 in his pocket.
I'm telling you, man, somebody gotta go ahead and take, well, not somebody, because WBO, they already with Top Rank. They looking at it like, man, we don't need another one. Top Rank is good. They haven't, look, they got their own world with ESPN television, and they got their own belt. They doing their own thing. Even though they not doing what PBC is doing, where they're acting like other people don't exist,
They got quality fights too, a PBC that is. Top Rank not so much, you know what I'm saying? I haven't really seen a good quality fight on Top Rank. Shit.
Tell the truth.
I think they got one coming up. I know better be even.
Navarrete, man, he in a quality fight right now.
They ain't quality. Trying to think, bro.
They all go through this though. Let's get to these callers, bro. It's all good. Don't have a brain fart over these matchmakers,
Super
man.
chats, man. Jab Left Hook says, "What a great interview, quality content."
Thank you, brother.
Jab Left Hook. And Boxing Therapy says, "The IBO is the Tesla of the boxing world. They advanced, huh? Okay, I like that.
Okay, I like that. That was some respect for you. Let me go out to the callers."
These calls are brought to you by El Camino Electrical Services, experts in electric vehicle charging stations. For consultations and turnkey installation, visit us at elcaminoelectricalservices.com.
Going out to the ringer,
Mr. PBC, baby.
Last time I checked, I was the man on these streets. They call me residue, I leave blow on these beats.
I'm gonna treat him like he's a C+ fighter.
Shit on niggas.
Mr. PBC, where you at, champ? Champ. All right, we keep it moving then. You know how that goes. Stunner, going to you in a minute. Yep. Get your phone right. We got to go to Mastermind. Joseph, what's going on, Big Supermax?
What up? Good morning, fellas. Hey, great interview, man. That was the IBO. I like a lot of what he said, and like you said, a couple of fights like fighters like Danny Garcia, Wilder, and them could really put that title on the map overnight. As much as we'd like to see one champion, I don't think that boxing is built for that, because if we go to one champion, all these fights, a lot of them keep happening only in the U.S., and as much as people say they wanted the world title to mean something, you see the pushback with the Ruiz fight. Granted, it's in Saudi Arabia, but a lot of the U.S. callers, they want it in the U.S., and it's a world championship, so we'd have to go back to keeping that, fighting in Russia, Germany, China, Tokyo, which I think would be a neat idea. But in combat sports, it kind of doesn't work. Yeah, you have the UFC model, but now the UFC, you have ONE FC, you have Bellator. Demetrius Johnson was considered pound for pound the best, and now he fights over in ONE FC. So it's just kind of it's kind of a tough deal.
His division pretty much getting phased out.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, though. How you phase out a division with the best fighter in the world. It's kind of weird, but it's just a hard thing. But I'd like to see that. I'd like to see the IBO mean more. Definitely. I think another thing that would help Ness is if we kind of do like the UK does and put more emphasis on the regional belts, as a step up to the world title. That would be a way to eliminate so many world titles.
Cut it.
That's the worst idea.
If we stepped up like the UK, that would help boxing. Period, bro. The UK could teach us something about blindly loving your boxer.
I don't know how many Americans would get behind the fucking. Well, maybe if it was like rebranded like the American title or some shit. You know what I'm saying? But
man, we just need to get behind our fighters, man. Tank need to be doing better numbers, but he's also need to be. He also need to be more active. Yes, one roof.
The other sports league got an advantage on him, man. The quality of the games and the matches are just high level.
Going out to New Orleans, Mastermind NO, talk to me.
Yeah, check me out, you heard me?
What up?
I'm in the truck right now, so excuse my order, you dig? But I ain't gonna lie, just called in, you dig? I'm gonna keep it real with y'all, you heard me? But the last thing I heard from the last caller, you dig? If we go down to one belt, we ain't gonna like you know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody gonna want to travel. Ain't nobody gonna want to go out their way to go and get that title. I don't think that's a true statement, dog. If we go down to one title, you the fucking man in that motherfucking division, dog. Can't nobody come to that division unless they call you. They gotta call you and make sure it's safe first. You dig? Because I'm going to want to know, say, bro, what you trying to do over here? Are you coming to 147? Are you coming to 160? Either you gonna chest up, or you gonna tuck your head and go sit your ass down somewhere. You dig? That'll cut out all the bullshit in boxing. We had one belt. You got it. If the belt overseas, you got to go overseas. That's where the belt at. That's where the money at. Ain't no, I got other options. I got shit I can handle over here or over there. So you get that one title, we're gonna see every fight we want to see, cause ain't no choice. Yes! I said we go down to that one title. We're gonna get all the fights we want to see, and all the negotiations and all that shit. That shit gonna cut down, man.
Dominic Ringer, what up, champ? You still working? I know you working early in the morning, man. Just double checking with my Ringer. We're gonna keep it moving. Kevin in Chicago, good morning. What up? Kevin, Chicago? No? Yes? Maybe so?
Yep, I'm right here. What's going on?
Waiting on you, champ. Good
You hear
morning.
me?
Good morning.
What's going on, Kev?
Good morning. Yeah, what's up, guys? I don't know. My quick point is a lot of people seem to be thinking that the Andy Ruiz fight was just a shutout, and Ruiz just completely outclassed him, this and that. Like, that seems to be talk. Like, oh, he's going to dominate him in the rematch and this and that. Are people forgetting that Joshua had him completely rocked? He came rushing in, all hyped because he had him rocked, and he got clipped. I think if Joshua would have took his time there, he got all excited, took his time, and went for the finish in a little bit more tactical manner, he probably would have got Ruiz out of there. I think that's a good point that people are forgetting about, but thanks for taking my call, guys.
Thank you for calling in. Kevin, we're going out to Ringer Lids Low. Talk to me.
Hey, man, to that last caller, man, shoulda, woulda, coulda. The night 4, you feel me? I don't know if y'all heard about that shit. Y'all know what it is, man. When it come to Bud, man, because I heard Bud name, we gonna fight whoever they put in front of us until we get who everybody want us to fight. So, whatever to everybody who got something to say about Bud. Shit, what's up with y'all feeling, man? How y'all feeling?
Nah, man, we just trying to see if Top Rank and Bud, do that unification with Sebastian Formella now that he beat Thelani Minge.
Hey, so Ness, you cool with that fight?
Yeah, I was cool with Thelani, and Thelani got his ass beat, man. What could I do?
Right on, right on. Well, shit, we gonna take care of business. Hey, bud, if you listen to dog, let go.
Danny ranked number 1 in the
Right.
IBO. So, like, if we see Danny fight for that belt, I don't want to see y'all all of a sudden try to jump on it. Like, oh, hold up. Oh, let Danny unify with Bud. Like, nah, that was my plan. Y'all ain't want to respect the IBO when I was trying to get y'all to fight for Mella or
Like,
Thelani Minge.
I'm just gonna say it like this. I'm with Bud, so whoever they put in front of her, we gonna take care of them, man.
All right. Let me see here. We got a lot of callers today. Remember, guys, I know we had the IBO president, but we're actually talking Anthony Joshua insisting that Andy Ruiz Jr. is a good fighter, but he ain't that skillful, and that he beat him by a lucky punch sent from the gods. And regarding their rematch, he added that I know I can get it back. I laugh at everyone who says I should retire. Maybe I will retire them. So this is what we're talking about.
If you're listening right now on YouTube, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. We got 497 watching, so I need 497 thumbs up. It costs you nothing, but it's free. So if you want to go one step farther, go ahead and go over to patreon.com/theboxingvoice and sign up to Patreon for as little as $3 a month, or you can probably catch us later today for the betting show and win some money with TBV.
Alrighty then. Let me see what we got going on. Bunch of callers. Good morning to everybody. We got Boomerang KO. Talk to me.
Day. To this day. To this day.
Sing along if you know the words.
Day.
Come on.
To this day. Come on.
Yo. What's going on, Ness? What's going on,
champ?
Mike?
What up?
Listen, I want to ask Ness a quick question. In your opinion, which country is safer to travel to, Mexico or Saudi Arabia?
Well, I mean, if you can produce some state.gov or org article that says that the U.S. will not protect me if I get in danger in Mexico, then I won't suggest Mexico. But till then, I'm saying Mexico.
Okay. Did you know that Mexico and Saudi Arabia
Are
are on the
both
same
level
level
2?
threat?
Yeah, I know they're both level 2.
Okay. Did you know the UK is also on level 2?
Does the UK or does America not help American citizens in in Mexico? Yes or no? Because as long as they willing to help me when I'm over there, I'm good. I'm good.
But
last I checked, a journalist died in the Saudi Arabian embassy in Turkey, right? So like the embassy's not even protected.
Yeah, but in Mexico, they're saying if you go to, I read the same travel advisory. I went to the same website.
I'm glad.
So
now pull up the one from Mexico.
Saying if you go to certain places in Mexico, that they're not willing to help you as well. That's what they said.
Oh yeah, send me the text. Send me that link. Show me that.
It's there. If you go to that same website, just go to the Mexico part and read it fully. It's there as well.
Send it to me, champ. I'm presenting my facts. You got to present yours.
I'm saying too.
That's how it go. Yo, y'all be wanting me to make y'all argument. No. You got to be like, yo, Ness, look at right here. Show me, because I'm showing you Saudi. She's telling me that America not going to help me in Saudi. That's why, I'm not even going. I told you I couldn't afford to go, so, ain't no biggie for me. We going out to what looks like a new caller. Make sure I got no boomerangs or nothing like that. Let me see. Do. No. And no, let me know when you're ready, champ. We going to a new caller, right? Or maybe not. But Francis, talk to me. Come again?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to know
90 seconds.
This whole Saudi Arabia Ruiz situation. You said it's about how far was it again that they're not allowed to protect them? if you're coming from the U.S.?
Well, it says within 50 miles of the Saudi-Yemen border, including the cities of Jazan and Narajan, and Qatif and eastern provinces, its suburbs, including
60 seconds.
including too many cities that I can't pronounce, bro. I'm not the
Well,
best.
that's okay. That's okay. I just wanted to know, how can Eddie Hearn secure that Ruiz, his family, his friends, everybody that's traveling can be safe within that short amount of time? Like, who can he talk to that's in the country that can give him that security?
I don't know, man. I'm not educated enough in politics. Mike, you want to take a shot at this?
Well, I mean, if he's guaranteeing somebody security, I'm pretty sure he has talked to the government that is probably involved in bringing that fight over here. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure they have provisions in place for a event of this magnitude. I'm
10
sure
seconds.
it won't be the wild, wild west out there where anybody can just walk up. I'm sure they will have stringent checkpoints too when this fight takes place. So we'll see. We'll see.
All right, sound good. Keep doing your thing, man. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks for calling in. So I mean, when you read that website, they say that Saudi Arabia, the airport in Abha in southern eastern Saudi Arabia has been frequent target attacks of U.S. citizens living and working near such installations, particularly near the border of Yemen and heightened risk missile, blah, 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 blah. My thing is, if you put on a big event, I don't know, shit becomes a target, right?
Yeah, but if you're putting on a big event, I'm not.
Rebels are rebels, bro. They ain't just because you put on a big event don't mean they're taking a day off.
I'm not saying they are going to take a day off, but in my opinion, if they're doing something of this level, they're going to have some strict security things in place to where people are not just going to be able to get in with anything. Bags checked, everything checked, and then they're probably going to have checkpoints too. Like, so, I'm sure if the rebels try to come, they're going to gun them down if they see them. So I'm not. And I'm sure like they have a big, maybe a military presence there too. So I don't know, but if I'm doing an event over in Saudi Arabia and I have never done any kind of event ever in my life, so I would hire security. So I'm sure Eddie Hearn, who's done multiple events and he's hearing all these concerns, are going to make sure that he voices his concerns to the people that are putting on the event and try to get the best security measures in place.
Yo, it say here, I'm in the chat, someone saying Ryder Airport was hit by a missile? Man, they better stop lying in our chat, man. You can't be saying stuff like that in the chat. You know I'm going to take it seriously, bruh. Bruv. Who else we got? Damn, shit lit up. We going to Aaron in California. Talk to me.
What up, Aaron?
What's up, fellas? Hey, I want to address that last caller who talked about Saudi Arabia or Mexico more dangerous. Look, I've been to Acapulco, Cancun, Los Cabos San Lucas, Puerto Vallarta. I go to Tijuana all the time. I'm just going to go by the simple fact that more tourists go to Mexico than they go to Saudi Arabia, especially from the U.S., man. And feel completely comfortable. And like I said, when you guys come out to L.A., I'm going to take you down to Tijuana, and you guys are going to have the time of your life, especially with the strip clubs down there. So I'm just going by my experience and, having the fellas going down there. Other than great interview with the IBO president, but it showed me, too, that the IBO is not a legitimate belt because they won't throw their lot in with the PBC or Top Rank. And we haven't seen just a fight for the IBO welterweight championship or just the IBO heavyweight championship. We have yet to see that. So how can we legitimize it? And the other thing that's unfortunate with all the belts, I completely agree with your description, Nez, but it blows up the records. So when we say we have like 4 or 5 time heavyweight champion or 4 or 5 time welterweight champion, just because they get a fraction of the belt. See, back in the 70s and even in the 80s, when you had 1 or 2 belts, it was a legitimate. Muhammad Ali was champion 3 or 4 times because there was 1 belt. And so now someone can get a version of the belt, and they call themselves the 5-time welterweight champion, and it inflates the records a little bit. So that's the unfortunate thing by having too many belts. I do think you need to go to a UFC model because it will legitimize all the champions in every division of having that one face and one name. That's what made the heavyweight champion great. If you look at Nick Saban's interview with Mike Tyson the other day on ESPN, I mean, the time of everyone being around their car listening to the radio about the heavyweight championship of the world is a big thing back then because you had one face for every division. I do think we need to go back to that. As far as AJ and Ruiz, I mean, AJ just running his mouth. He needs to hype himself up more and more because, he's at a disadvantage, and, Ruiz got his numbers. So thanks for that interview with the IBO president. That was definitely great and informative. But until he makes money and throws his lot in with Top Rank or PBC, he's just going to be a minor belt. That's how it is. Thanks for the call.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in. KO'd sent me this from the same place, Mexico Travel Advisory. Definitely doesn't say the same thing. It says, exercise increased caution in Mexico due to crime and kidnapping. Some areas have increased risk. Read the entire advisory. And it says violent crimes such as homicide, kidnapping, carjacking, and robbery is widespread. It says here nothing about rebels and rebel groups who are in possession of unmanned aerial systemed armed drones, which they have used to target civilian infrastructures and military facilities in Saudi Arabia. The airport in Aba in southern eastern Saudi Arabia has been a frequent target of attack. So, I mean, that's totally not the same thing, my friend. But, I mean, good try. KO'd from the UK. How obvious. Gabe, talk to me. Salt Lake City, what up?
Yo,
good morning.
Yo, good morning, guys. How's it going? But let's get to this. So,
Gabe, before I
came
waste
in
your
during
time, before I waste your time, obviously I want to assume that you watch more CNN and daytime politics than me. Are Mexico and Saudi on the same level, in your opinion?
Absolutely not, man. Not even close, right? The last caller got to it. When most U.S. citizens go to Mexico, they are going to Puerto Vallarta, Cancun, Cabo San Lucas, where it is actually my father-in-law owns condos in Puerto Vallarta. So we're out there a lot, dude. You see military driving the streets all the time. Like, you feel hella safe. It's very comfortable for Americans. A lot of the people who live there speak English because a lot of them got deported. So, like, I just feel it's not even close. But I've never been to the Middle East, but I'm going to give Saudi Arabia its respect. I think it is the safest country in the Middle East. I think last time I checked, I know a lot of people, like personal friends, who actually moved out there to like teach jiu-jitsu and stuff. It's a very heavy economic country, but it is definitely not safer than Mexico when it comes to U.S. citizens, in my personal opinion. But I came in. Does that kind of wrap it up, or do you want me to keep going?
No, you can do your thing now. I just wanted your advice because I don't watch nothing about the news, you know what I mean? So I don't know how good, how bad, but I did pull it up again, and just so that KO knows, Saudi Arabia is a level 2. It says, exercise increased caution, Mike, in Saudi Arabia due to terrorism and threat of missile and drone attacks on civilian targets. How the fuck could y'all say that's the same with Mexico? Like, it's totally different.
Yeah, that shit you can't even see, bro. Drones you can't even see, bro. That's like fucking Terminator shit, bro, where people just fly over you. You don't even know that shit's coming.
Hey, yo,
you can probably see a hijacker coming.
I'll take my chances being kidnapped with a Mexican cartel than fucking being droned upon. Come on, bro.
Yeah, I don't think the cartel's really trying to fuck with an average American citizen to fuck up their multi-million-dollar business. You know what I mean? You gotta think about it. But hey, I heard you talking about the loudest voice. That fucking show on Showtime, dude.
Yes.
You should watch that shit. That shit is crazy, bro. Dude, I watched that whole shit from like every Sunday, bro. That shit Roger Ells, I might not agree with a lot of things he does, but that fool's a fucking beast, bro. He gets shit done. Hey, let me get to boxing, though. I call for boxing, man. But that, you know what the IBO reminds me of is the famous adage of nice guys finish last. Like, he sounds like he has the most integrity. He's being up front, like, fuck, we're not a non-profit. Like, we're here to make money. But, like, he seems too nice to be in boxing, in my opinion. It's that famous adage, you know, nice guys finish last. I didn't hear you guys talk about this, but is hand speed a skill in boxing?
I mean, God-given skill, I guess, because you can't really improve hand speed.
Okay, how about footwork?
I mean, I don't know. I guess a trainer would argue that he could improve your footwork. So, you know, I guess that's a skill.
So what's so give me what's like the definition of skills? I mean, just like the technical 1-2, the hook. You know what I mean?
I think overall,
the double up on the jab,
I think skills is more of a you know, definition, not you know, with subcategories. I don't think it's just like, oh, skills is hand speed or punching power. I think it's overall performance of the fighter that leads you to believe he has skills.
Yeah, man, I don't know. If it comes down to skills, like Andy has that amateur record, and to have an amateur record that high with I think 5 losses, right, or like 10 losses, you have to have some skill in amateur ranks, either hand speed, footwork, agility, fluidity, you know what I mean, throwing that jab, double hooking. But, you know, that's my call. I think it's going to be a pretty even fight. I think if it goes 12, you would probably have to favor Andy. And then if it gets a knockout, you're going Joshua. But, yeah, that's my call. Go support TDV. Hardest working podcast in the game. Been saying it forever. Go support.
Gabe, man,
I think when you bring up skills, you're talking about fighters fighting in different ways, going forward, going backwards, lateral movement, combination punching, punch placement. So, like Ness said, it's a combination of a lot of things, but it's how you use those things against your opponent, and also one of the biggest skills that you can have in the ring is your mind, your mindset, your mind frame, your thinking under extreme duress. So yeah, I think all that encompasses somebody's skill set.
All right, we got hella callers, champ. I'm telling you, and no one's back in. And no, talk to me on the boomerang.
What's going on, man?
Man, look, what's up? Check this shit out, dog. Like, listen to this whole fucking story, Aaron. We got the unified champ of the world. Not in his beginning. Well, I heard he got knocked out when he was coming up and all that shit too. You dig? But he's unified champ. He get knocked out in sparring. He a certified, bona fide professional now. He get flatline in sparring. He have a nervous breakdown right before the fight. Come into the ring, get his ass knocked out. Saying he was gonna take over America. He taking his fucking ball in his basketball goal and he bringing that bitch inside. Now we're gonna go to Saudi Arabia and build a fucking stadium. By December, and we're gonna have this motherfucker who had an anxiety attack in fucking New York, where he had 10,000 people cheering his fucking name. Now he's supposed to perform in the front 7,000 quiet motherfuckers.
12,000.
Who might boo his ass. Well, 12, all right, to my bad, 12,000. You ain't gonna be saying shit in that motherfucker. How you not gonna have an anxiety attack over that, man? What's gonna make him perform in that environment and he couldn't perform in New York City, dog? With all his people in there. They only had 3 people born in there, and that shit shook him up. There was something up with Joshua. Man, come on, dog. You gotta admit something going on, dog. That dude is a 2019.
You just not cut from the same cloth as AJ, like he told Lennox. Mike, man, my man on the chat saying that there's clear video of the Ryder missile attack on YouTube. What the fuck? Okay, I ain't playing out here, man. I mean, me and Mike ain't going. We already made up our mind. We said it's way too expensive, so we chilling. We gonna report it from here, the good old fashioned way. We got Patrick Ocha. Talk to me. What it do? Bueno dias.
Dias, buenos dias. How we doing,
All
gents?
good, all good.
Cool. First and foremost, that interview with the IBO president was proper sick, man. Proper sick. Learned a lot from that, actually. Um, what's that's gonna cure? Um, so it's too much leader. To be honest, the fight should be in America, because then there's no excuses. Right the wrong in there. AJ, I don't know what is in his mind. He looks too chill, to be honest, from his Snapchat. Diaz after the win. If he wins this Saturday, he might. Peace.
All right. I mean, I don't know, Mike. You got to know him and his age. Is he old enough to come around?
I don't know how old he is off the top of my head, but he takes a lot of punishment. I don't think boxing, what I'm saying, is a sport for me, but he can definitely make a lot of money in the sport of boxing. He got a big fan base.
Is he getting the win this week or what?
I got him. I got him getting the victory over Anthony Pettis, I believe, or somebody like this later today, though.
Damn, there's so many callers. It's insane right now. We going.
IBO, man. Everybody respect the IBO. They calling in and saying, what? Fuck this goddamn topic. Bro, the IBO interview was sick, bro. You guys did a great job. Oh, man. I learned a lot from the IBO interview, man. So, hey, everybody out there talking all that shit years ago, months ago, but not respecting the IBO. Mauricio Suleiman, big ups to him, WBC, you know what I'm saying? He's been on the podcast. IBO been on the podcast. IBF, WBA, WBO, where y'all at? Mendoza, we want you.
We going to, damn, no, it's from the ATL. What up, Brian?
What up, what up, what up? Old Atlanta in the building. First thing, man, Joshua saying that Andy Ruiz is not skillful. Every time Joshua threw out his jab, Andy was countering over the top of it with the right hand. And even though he was a shorter fighter, he was stepping in and hitting him with the right hand. Other than Joshua clipping him with that left hook, left hook uppercut combination, for the most part, he had Joshua on his back foot the whole night. And every time he came out every time he threw a punch, Andrew Ruiz was hitting him with combinations coming back, putting bees on his ass. And as far as that, him being skillful thing, man, he can hush that shit. Anthony Joshua is too slow. Him losing a lot of that weight that I see may help him and give him more stamina since he's not carrying so much muscle mass. But I don't see it being that much different. The one thing I do see is that I'm not sure who else in the heavyweight division could have taken that uppercut left hook combination and still be standing. I don't care what your name is. You know what I mean? So Andy Ruiz's determination really was the key to him being able to sustain himself in the fight. And as far as Saudi Arabia goes, man, why would you want to go somewhere?
Going out to a new caller in Texas, 806-567. Who's this?
Texas, what's up?
I think he's listening while he's working. He definitely.
We got a super chat right quick then from NO. AJ is the 2019 Milli Vanilli. And we got one from that one white boy. Good morning, TBV. Smash that like button. Yeah, everybody in the chat, man, if you're listening right now, smash that like button. We got 457 watching. I need everybody watching to hit that motherfucking like button right now.
Man. Yo, Mo, talk to me.
Yo, Mo, how's the bar going?
All right, Mo fucked up. We going out to Brian in Hawaii.
Brian in Hawaii. Good morning to you, man.
What's up, guys?
What up?
Good morning. Good morning. Appreciate the show. Well, I was, talking about Mexico and
Saudi Arabia. I guess it's dangerous wherever you kind of go, but at least in Mexico, like that's already like Western culture, and we kind of understand. We kind of get similar laws, right? Where in Saudi Arabia, like we're not used to their laws at all, and like I think you could really get in trouble not knowing your, not watching your P's and Q's. Like I know, I was reading up some stuff like, so you cannot, if you another religion, you cannot pray in public. And you know, some people pray before they eat their food and stuff. Like that's actually against the law in Saudi Arabia. And then had some, oh, and then you know how like plenty guys from the United States like to shoot the shit too. You end up talking bad about their prophet. Like their law is they can kill you for that. You know what I mean? So it kind of gets kind of crazy. Like you gotta, and not judging none of their laws. Their laws is their laws, but I think that's what makes it dangerous. And people go there not knowing their laws and their customs. So to me, it's totally more dangerous for a Westerner to go there than Mexico.
Brian in
Oh, but
Hawaii,
then I
man.
wanted to touch upon the.
Thank you for calling in, Mike.
Do you think, bro? This got to go and take care of his little pets, and we're not going to end the show. So what we are going to do is pause the callers for a second, and we're going to take some questions from the chat. So if anybody out there got a question or want to make a statement, I will be reading questions and statements from the chat. Right now, we got a super chat from the one to give it to you. Ruiz couldn't cut off the ring. Andy followed AJ and got frustrated. Oh, okay, yeah. Look there now. Based on the fight, man. Now, AJ saying he was hit by a lucky punch. I don't want to say that the punch was lucky. The punch had good placement on it. He caught AJ like right in the temple, top of the head. So that was good punch placement. And it seems like those guys were working on that because all the punches that Ruiz threw were kind of in that. Well, not all of them, but when he got inside, they were all kind of like those looping top of the head kind of punches. So I gotta commend the game plan on that. But I would say that the AJ was moving around freely, and we did see similar things in the Joseph Parker fight. Ruiz was following Parker a lot. He was not cutting off the ring, and the only reason AJ couldn't emulate that style because we all know AJ doesn't have that kind of engine that Parker has, or for that matter, that any other that heavyweights have. AJ gets tired a lot, and we can see from the interview that came out, the little clip came out, he was noticeably smaller than he's normally been. You know what I'm saying? Like I looked at AJ, I was like, wow, looked like he lost about 15, maybe 20 pounds of that muscle that he had on. So we're going to see how that plays out in the rematch too. Like I want to see what kind of AJ comes out here. Hey, yo, Mike, any good albums you heard recently? Big Crit. I heard a little of that Rick Ross album that was pretty fire. But yeah, man. Yeah. The murder rate in Mexico is 21.5 per 100,000. It is 1.5 100,000, where is safer? Mr. Penn, where you get that information from? Let me know. Mike, the second knockdown, AJ got a 7-piece combo in the corner. No side punching. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But I do think Bernie 40, he was still noticeably buzzed from that first knockdown or second knockdown, whichever one it was. So that the one in the corner, it was a mirage of punches. So I would have to agree that it wasn't those kind of loopy punches that he caught him with at first. But by that time, AJ was already kind of spent. Who else we got? Come on with the questions, man. What y'all think about that IBO not doing mandatories? I wasn't really a big fan when I heard that, and I'm not a big fan of sanctioning bodies stripping people and putting their title up for somebody else when there's not a good case behind it. So I wouldn't want to see Sebastian Formello, who went and beat Delani Mans, who was I think he was the betting favorite that night. So I don't want to see him stripped. I don't want to see Andy stripped. I don't want to see anybody stripped when it comes to fighting in these belts. But I do have to say I have to commend the IBO for not making another gold or silver or pearl or regular or whatever kind of belt. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't need all these extra belts in the sport of boxing. Period. Mike, would Joshua get credit if he knocks out Ruiz, or will people say Ruiz went soft after his first fight? I mean, after his first payday. That's a good question. I think the UK people would support him and get behind him, and I think most Americans would probably say he was. Well, you were supposed to beat him anyway. You weren't supposed to lose to Ruiz in the first place. So I don't think that he will get the credit that he probably deserves, because we're going to say his mind wasn't right the first fight. We're going to say a lot of different things. So if he does beat Ruiz, which is not a given, it's not a given at all. But if he does beat Ruiz, I think it may be 50-50, you know what I'm saying? Or it might be the rule of 10. 3 people going to like it, 3 people are not going to like it, and 4 people not going to give a damn about it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I mean, because Andy, man, look, Andy's a good fighter. Andy's a damn good fighter, but make no mistake about it. Not a soul in this chat. Not a soul in this chat. Well, maybe because Liz Lowe called in all the time and he was really, really on board with Andy. But for the most part, everybody listening right now, 80% of people listening right now, did not have Andy winning or going to win that first fight. We were all surprised. If you go to our immediate live reaction video, we were surprised that Andy won this fight. So to say that Joshua might get credit if and when he beats Andy in the rematch, I don't know how much credit people are going to give him, because we're going to have that mindset. You should have done this the first time. But what's going on, Ness?
What up? All right. We got Chris in the ATL. Talk to me.
What's good, fellas? I got 2 main points to make. The first one is, I understand Andy not wanting to, I guess, travel or fly or fight in Saudi Arabia, but I think, boxing is a global sport. It's a world championship fight. So I think a lot of this rhetoric we're hearing about, I don't want to fight here, or I don't want to fight here because of the crime rate, I think it's kind of getting out of hand. Julio Cesar Chavez, who's the greatest Mexican fighter of all time, was robbed at gunpoint in Mexico City earlier this year. Armed robbers.
Yeah,
the country's got a record murder rate going on right now.
How the fuck you rob a legend like that?
Yeah, you know what Julio Cesar Chavez didn't get done to him? He ain't getting a drone attack.
Well, all I'm saying is we can cherry pick and, incidents that happen in countries all over the world. This is a global sport. You know what I'm saying? We all come from different backgrounds. Some of us come from different countries. So I think it's getting out of hand with all this talk.
You're right.
The second thing,
once missiles start hitting the Saudi airport, it got out of hand.
Okay. All right, Ness. The second thing I want to say is I think y'all put up AJ's quote about the lucky shot. I think AJ, he knocked Ruiz down and he was feeling himself and he went for the KO a little too soon. But for all the AJ haters, including you, Ness, who are feeling strong, you feeling real good, you think that the same thing's going to happen again, you can get Andy Ruiz right now at plus 250 odds as the underdog. So put that stack up and make 2 stacks and a half back, Ness. And all y'all who are hating on AJ and you think the same thing's going to happen again, it's a no better, easier way to double up your money. And that's my call.
Cut it.
Oh, so this shit just happened, B. Like, it is really Googleable. Like, yo, Andy, don't go. This shit just happened June 12th, Mike.
I thought you meant like 30 minutes ago. Okay, June. Okay, go ahead.
Don't nonchalantly blow this off. A missile strike on Saudi Arabia's airport in June, and you want Andy to go over there? We're talking about June of this year. It just happened like maybe 60 days ago or less, bro. Like, come on, bro. Come on. That is crazy.
Andy lived in California, where a guy last week was reported went on a fucking stabbing spree and got like 50 counts. I mean, shit happens. And I
No,
understand like
again,
missiles
man.
and
Yo.
missiles and everything like that, but it's crazy motherfuckers everywhere, bro.
Nah, I'm saying, you rather be stabbed, You
Bro,
rather be
I'd rather
stabbed.
not fuck with anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, it depends on where you
You ain't
stab
got
me at.
no chance at a drone attack.
But it's quick though.
Oh man, now we
I ain't trying
picking.
to be
Now we
kidnapped.
picking our death. I'm good, man. I'm going to Tony P,
Hold
man.
on, hold on.
All right.
One point. My nigga, they robbed Julio Cesar Chavez Sr.
Bruh, at gunpoint, not
Not
at
Junior.
drone point.
I understand that, bro,
Fuck
but
that, man.
he a legend down there. How do you rob a legend?
Bruh, all I know is that
Get out
this
of here
shit
with that,
say,
man. You can't rob no legend, bro. I don't give a fuck if who it is. If motherfucking whoever in America that's a legend right now, I can't even think of nobody who's just that iconic. You know what I'm saying? Like if Sugar Ray's walking down the street in Detroit or wherever he's from, I don't expect Sugar Ray to get robbed. You can't rob Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., man. Some guys just got too much influence and respect in life, not only in boxing but in life, man. Yeah, you reading a comment or something? You got froze on me. Are you reading the airport shit? You reading about the missiles, huh? How many missiles hit? Maybe Andy got a private plane. Maybe he ain't going to the airport.
bruh. But won't that be a
heard Andy?
target? Won't that be a target? If civilians is targets of missiles and drone attacks, man, this private plane holding this American champion. No way, Jose, man. I'm scared for you, bro. Whatever. We got AJ. Talk to me.
Hey, what's good, man? What's good, man? How y'all doing this morning?
All right. Coming up with conspiracy
Sad.
theories.
I hear it, man. First off, hey, that was a hell of an interview, man. And this shit like this is the reason why when I first heard about PBV, I was like, all right, well, if it's a voice for the people, I want motherfuckers to actually be in contact with motherfuckers from the top. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, hats off to y'all. The shit with motherfucking AJ, listen, man, I tripped out more on the body work that Ruiz did, in the sense that his motherfucker was jabbing him to the chest and to the stomach, and motherfucking AJ was trying to just back up, trying to find out where the hell the damn ropes was at, so he can fucking move the other way and shit. So I ain't trying to hear that bullshit either on him. I'm trying to make this shit quick. I'm on the roll. And fuck, I just had another motherfucker. Oh yeah, fuck that. Don't go to Saudi Arabia. Make that shit back in the States. That I'm out. Smash the like button. Be out of here.
Alexander Wilson gave us a super chat. It says WWE has hosted 3 events in Saudi Arabia in the last 18 months and are coming back in October. None of their wrestlers said they weren't safe. So yeah, man. I mean, WWE does do events over there all the time. It seems like so. If they're pretty good, then why should Andy and them not be good? And I'm sure the site since the site fee is so much, then maybe I don't know because I don't know how much WWE makes when they go over there, so I don't want to put that out.
All right, let's go to what we got here on Skype. Rue in the 504, talk to me.
What's going on, Rue?
Good morning. What's happening, fellas? I guess my thing is that there was no way that fight was won by a lucky punch. I mean, Ruiz completely dismantled AJ. But I am glad that AJ said that though, because this is going to bring so much more heat to this fight, and this is the AJ that I particularly was always looking for. There's been a lot of UK guys that have been alleging that it was a lucky punch and something was off, and they've made that excuse. This comment is going to fire those guys up. It's even happening in the chat right now. So this is good for boxing. I love AJ for saying this, putting more gasoline to the fire, but he lost that fight fair and square. That's my call.
KO, Boomerang. You there?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can
Loud
you
and
hear me?
clear.
Good stuff. Yeah, so I mean, I haven't really got much to say on this danger thing. I mean, I put up a link on that chat about the most dangerous cities in the world, and Saudi Arabia is not on the top. America and Mexico, there's more people dying there than people dying in Saudi Arabia. So go figure about that. I mean,
In the
I'm not going to go
population.
into that argument. This is not a political show, so I'm not going to even go that. One thing I would say though was when you were talking to the IBO president and you were talking about, you know, being, you know, him getting, being close to Al and all that. We know that Al and the BC are very tightly linked together. So I'm not sure even that in itself is not good for the sports. I mean, if any organization has the most number of belts, it's actually the WBC. So, really, they are probably the most corrupt. And part of that is the relationship with Al. So, I don't know, Ness. I just feel like you're quite biased when it comes to this whole thing. But anyway, that's my call.
I know. But you know what you said is false because the WBC doesn't have an alliance with PBC. WBC is one of the only sanctioning bodies that has champions with all promoters. Can you say the same about the other sanctioning bodies? No, you cannot. That's why what you're saying is false.
No, but I can tell you something though. One of the
Not on this call, you can't. Cut it. Better use that boomerang.
I'm
Oops, you
trying to
did.
bring up what I'm trying to do is right now. I got this website. It's called National Master. They're putting countries against each other to compare the crime rates. So let me type in the Mexico and Saudi Arabia while you get to another call.
Do it.
I just want the facts to be out there for the people, man.
Do it. Let's go to what looks like a Tundi. Talk to me.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a first time caller and basically I'm just trying to understand something. Every time everyone is making this big deal about Saudi Arabia or there's so much violence, blah, blah, blah. But everywhere you go, there is a problem there. If you want to do the fight in the UK, there's going to be knife violence there. If you want to do the fight in America,
There's
there's
not even
guns all over
guns
the
in the
place.
UK, champ. You can't
Knife. I said knife.
I know, and that's what I'm telling
Knife.
you. The level
People
of
pouring
crime is
acid all
different.
over each other's faces. There's violence everywhere.
Man,
I
listen,
live in
you guys
Dubai.
calling in trying to compare knife and drone attacks. Come on, stop
It's
it, man.
still violence.
It's not.
It's still
It's
violence.
not. People that using
All right, but let
drones
me
and
make my point. Let me make my
come
point.
on, bro.
Let me
People
make
that using drones and missiles are obviously sick, man.
on
The
his
fuck?
life. Oh, there's so much. I don't have any protection. Blah blah blah. What does AJ have that Ruiz doesn't have in terms of protection? They're both going out of their comfort zone. They're both going to a new country. So what is the problem? That's what I don't understand.
The problem is that you guys are making any excuse to give AJ some sort of comfort. He came to America to put
He's
his
not from
belt on the
Saudi
line.
either, Ness.
Dude,
he's from the UK. They're both going to a neutral. That's what AJ and Eddie Hearn have been trying to say. Neutral grounds. Both of us are not from here. Let's make it happen.
Sorry, man. Until Andy claims that he's going to Saudi Arabia, they ain't going to Saudi Arabia, champ. You know, and it's shameful that you guys actually think drone and missile violence. I can't even believe we're putting that word in the same set, violence with missiles and drones. These dudes are crazy, bro. Like, you guys got to chill, man. Did we ever get to Tony P?
Nah.
Tony P, what up?
What's good, boy?
What up, man?
Hey, listen, two quick things. The first thing is, y'all trying to compare Saudi Arabia as a country to Mexico. You got to compare the host cities. Riyadh, or however you say it, is getting missile attacks. Mexico City, where Azteca Arena is, only has like violence. It's like petty crimes, gun robberies and stuff like that. Vernon Forrest got killed in America by a dude with a gun. So what are we really talking about? So that's that. As far as Joshua versus Ruiz go, I already know Joshua is losing. Just watch his interviews. He do not respect the game of boxing. He think going on all these therapy interviews, talking about his regrets is gonna win him the fight. This is not the Karate Kid. This is a real fight. Ruiz needs his respect. He's not a joke. He is a good fighter, and that's why he gonna get beat worse this time than the first time. Respect the game, man, and that's it. I'll holler.
All right, we're going out to Majid in Florida. Talk to me.
Yes, sir. I'm here. Hey, man, I'm just listening, and I put it on speakerphone, and even people at my job that don't know shit about boxing, like, what the fuck, Saudi Arabia is bullshit every which way, and all these UK people, they got y'all show keep going, calling with their bullshit ass excuses. So I'm just listening, enjoying, just hearing what they come up with next. Cause everybody knows some bullshit, but I'm listening to the protection crew today. That's all I got.
All right, Majid, thank you for calling in. We're going out to Big Supermax in Texas. Talk to me.
Okay.
Yo, Ness, can you hear
I
me?
got it to where
Loud
nigga
and clear.
I can pick cities now.
Okay, so the thing with somebody brought up the WWE, which is true, but also John Cena, who's the biggest star in wrestling, refused to go for fear of his safety. Also, they had a guy by the name of
Well, he
Sami
didn't
Zayn.
say. Well, guys, I gotta defend the super chat. He never said about people who refused to go. He said people that went were not harmed. They didn't say that they were harmed.
Right, I understand that, but at the same time, the biggest star is refusing to go, and also they withheld a wrestler named by the name of Sami Zayn due to his Syrian descent. The man never lived in Syria, but he's got relatives far back, and they refuse to let him in. So there's still a lot of kickback on that.
Where's that
So
fight at in Saudi Arabia? Rada?
Yeah.
So and I don't know. Like I said, if Ruiz is not going to have protection as far as the U.S. government is concerned, then that raises a red flag. Because what makes me feel comfortable taking my team and putting other people's life at risk, and definitely not going to take my family out there. You know what I mean?
Man, the fact that people trying to say terrorism and kidnapping is the same thing, like, man, get out of here, bro. I'm done, man. Mexico don't got terrorism, dude. Like, they out of control. They just doing
the border
anything.
towns in Texas are what's more dangerous. You know what I mean? Because they got people that cross back and forth. That's really Laredo, down El Paso. Those areas are going to be more dangerous, really.
Man,
but that's my call, man.
Cut it.
Come
I
again,
just
Mike?
did
I
it.
didn't hear you.
I'm sorry. I gotta share this, man. Wow. Rada, and I'm doing Rada versus Mexico City. Should I choose another city in Mexico? Cancun or something?
I don't even know, what's dangerous in Mexico. Like, I only go to resorts,
Like,
right?
where you go? Cancun?
I go to Riviera Maya.
Okay, let me type that in, because Mexico City, boy, God dang.
I've been to Riviera Maya.
Shit going down in Mexico City.
Yeah, no, that's where the kidnappings and shit like that happen. But
Hey,
again, it ain't no missile attacks. It ain't no
but
drone
man,
attacks.
but look,
it ain't no terrorism.
give
You
you
know
some
what's
numbers, though.
terrorism?
Let me give you
Terrorism
numbers.
is people with bombs, bro. Y'all
Let me give you
crazy,
numbers.
man.
I'm just giving you numbers. Mexico City and Rada. Crime index, Mexico City is at 68%, Rada 28%. Safety scale, Mexico City 31%, Rada 71%.
You doing Mexico City? Are they holding the fight in Mexico City? Where did Eddie go to hold the fight with Jaime? And
Where's this fight coming up?
And where is Eddie going with hosting the fight coming up? Where did Julio Cesar Chavez fight in the past? Don't just pick Mexico City because it's the highest crime rate and you want to make Rada look good.
I didn't pick Mexico City. Dude told me to pick Mexico City. Them called it today. They
Bro,
called
ain't
it.
nobody having a fight and try and be open-minded. Listen to this. Listen to this. Try and be. I don't know where he fought. I don't do history. You know, I say that over and over on the show. But Mike, try and be open-minded about this. Not just the callers or the listeners, right? Like, they building a stadium in Rada. The fucking place could be deserted for all we know, and they gonna do it over there. They showed us mud buildings that look like caves. Like, come on. Yeah, it's probably 28% because don't nobody fucking live there right now. And what they gonna do is bring some e-commerce over there. You know, they gonna bring some fucking economics. Like, come on. Did you see Eddie's promo? Do those buildings look like our buildings? Did they even have windows? Come on, bro. And let's stop it, man. Terrorism and missile threat and drone attack. Come on, bro. Like we talking
Bro,
about.
but according to the
Come
numbers,
on,
though,
man.
I'm just saying.
Mike. I would rather
Like
you get
violence is
kidnapped.
violence, big dog. Like
I
you
would
can
rather
say,
you get kidnapped so that I can at least try to save you.
have you heard of some of the fucking cartel stories? Like, but when they kidnap you?
Man, we watch plenty of Netflix, right? You and I both. There at least are people that are getting away. You ain't getting away from a missile attack, champ. That's all. But whatever. Like we ain't gonna argue this ridiculousness. I mean, I'm not going.
Yeah,
I'm not
man.
going. You ain't going. So it is what it is. You know. The people that going, we wish you the best. Hopefully everything is good. Looks like we got to everybody actually. On that note, Nest GTO, Instagram and Twitter. Oh, there we go. We got one calling in late. Let's see.
I just share this in the chat for everybody to see. Fuck it.
Fahim, talk to me.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, Mike, them numbers are a little misleading because crime is basically a reaction from poverty. It's way more poor people in Mexico City than there is in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Matter of fact, Saudi Arabia, they hire all the foreigners to do all their manual labor, when it's not like Mexico. So of course you're gonna have mad crime. Plus, in Saudi Arabia, you get caught stealing something over a certain price value, they're cutting your hand off. They're not doing that in Mexico. If you get caught fucking somebody else's wife in Saudi Arabia, you can get killed, stoned to death. If you get caught having sex outside of wedlock and you're not married, you're getting 100 lashes. It's a difference. So when you compare the crime rates like that, you gotta disclose all the numbers. We all know that crime is an economic thing. In Saudi, they living over there like kings for the most part. Even the poor people live better than the poor people in Mexico. That's why it's more crime. And for one, Mexico's a democracy, so they're forced by their laws to disclose all their crime numbers. Saudi Arabia is a theocracy. They don't gotta disclose shit. You know what I'm saying? And then the thing with terrorism and the safety with Mexico, you gotta understand, Saudi Arabia is a whole religious idea where they don't believe that no non-believers. That means if you're not a Muslim, you're not even supposed to be on the Arabian Peninsula, period. So that's why they target Americans. And my last point is, in 2001, in September, we had a terrorist attack where 19 hijackers crashed planes into a building. And out of those 19 hijackers, all but 3 was from where? And that's my call.
All right. Mike, final thoughts?
Um, I just don't like the bashing other people's countries or other people's territories. Like for everybody, like Mexico, Saudi Arabia. Like I'm not on either side. You know what I'm saying? I just all believe like the best way to look at it is from experience, and let's see how this experience go. Like if everything goes well in Saudi Arabia, then we won't have anything to be concerned about. But if it don't, then there'll be a lot of backlash and a lot of backfire. So just give it time to like play itself out, and then we can play Monday morning quarterback the day after.
Yeah, man. Catch us on the next one. That's GTO, Instagram, and Twitter. Peace.